2 races left, and we will have ourselves a champion here with the Loose Lugz Cup Series. The final race before the final race at Homestead, Miami next week. But before we get there, going to be Las Vegas here for the last chance race, the last chance 150 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the booth alongside me, Jeff Brown from the NEPS League, calling a little action here on a Wednesday night. Jeff, how we feeling?
Not bad. We're in Vegas. We're here to see this thing go on. This is you ever been to Vegas, Paul?
I have not. I've been here virtually many, many times, but I've never actually been there.
Vegas is like this cartoon city where everything you could imagine, reality and fantasy are just two separate worlds entirely. And I don't know, it suits itself well to racing. This track's been here since what 1997. They opened up the track, and just a fascinating place, a big spectacle, about as close to Hollywood as you're going to be without being in Hollywood.
Definitely on the bucket list for sure. And on the bucket list for Kenny Capola, that championship at the end of the race next week here on Verdane TV is already locked in the round of four. Kid's got 6 wins on his way to 7 here this season alone. Most wins in the field on a single season, and absolutely on fire. Momentum on his side, and here he is on the pole at Las Vegas in the 77. Kenny Capola gunning for that championship, and outside of him, going to be Ed Boyles Jr.
Yeah, there's a strong field of cars up there. Capola's on the front row. I mean, he's kind of odds in a way, far and away the favorite here. Wayne Bowen sitting back there in third on the start, and he's going to be a force. I mean, he kind of called that shot last week. Had a really good shot to win at Nashville. Lost it in the closing laps. What a heartbreaker! And we're going to see what he can do tonight. Good, looks like he got his teammate on the outside in fourth.
Yeah, those Joe Gibbs racing cars absolutely stout here in the latter half of the season, coming home with some pretty phenomenal victories here, but everybody gunning down that 77 car of Kenny Capola. So you've got Wayne Bowen, Jimmy Apps with the JGR cars there in row number 2. Dave Douthwaite already locked in to the championship 4 with the first win of the round of 8. He is going to start himself in 5th. Keith Hume Sr., Chris Spear, Tim Wortman Jr., Ken Ellert and Bobby Justice rounding out the top 10. 18 cars here on the field, and you'll see those names sift on through the screen here as we're rolling here on the racetrack, following the pace car, getting ready to do battle for 100 laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the last chance qualifier, 150.
Yeah, with two spots up for grabs, it's going to be an exciting one. You have, I mean, this is for all the marbles. I mean, the margin up front is close enough where you really can't afford to slip. You got to almost play it safe, but at the same time, is it worth it to play the gamble? Try to make a last ditch effort to break into it. I mean, at this point, it's all or nothing.
And in the words of the late, great Macho Man, ooh, yeah, the cream always rises to the top. Kenny Capola coming in with the points lead and locked in to the round of 4. Starting on the pole, Dave Douthwaite locked in with that win, starting 5th. Bowen and Boyles both 7 points, tied for 3rd place in the point standing. Boyles is going to be starting 2nd, and Bowen in that top 5 as well. Wortman, Runfield, Ruff, Hume, they've got a must-win situation on their hands. They got to come home with the victory if they're going to come home with that championship trophy next week at Homestead. Before we get there, 100 laps on the docket here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we got to start it at lap 1. A green flag in the air, and they're side by side as they thunder on down into turn number 1, getting on up through the gears. Capola in the 77 down low, Boyles up on the top side.
Yeah, looking back through the field, it looks like Boyles has a couple of his Hendrick teammates do not appear to be in the field tonight. But that doesn't much matter. I mean, this is a solo competition. You're going to get a little bit of help drafting, but nothing like a plate race. The strategy is not really going to play into that. It's going to be every man for himself tonight.
And we've seen a lot of differing strategies here in the Lugz Cup Series. As you can see, 4 of the championship contenders rocking those yellow banners. And speaking of yellow, Michael Miller seems to be pointed in the wrong direction, and it might have collected a couple of cars here, and that it does. A couple of cars off the pace here on lap number 1 in the front straightaway, and that's going to give us an opportunity to take a peek here at the U-House Racing Designs instant replay to find out what brought out that caution.
Yeah, a quick glance from the blimp camera here. It looked like Drew Moffitt lost it and took out 2 of those Hendrick teammates back in the pack, Matt Mackin and Mike Miller. So hopefully they'll be able to gather it up and keep on moving.
And there you see the 52 losing the back end of the race car. Tried to get it collected, but the 9 car gets up there, gets a piece of him, and collects his teammate. And that's never good for those team meetings after the race. And there you see the 52 losing control, gathers it back up, though. 48 looks like he might be in okay shape. Not too much damage on that 48 machine, but looks like he's going to come down pit road, get some service to it, along with Keith Hume Sr., Derek Cooks, Josh Battle, and Drew Moffitt all making pit stops.
At this point, I mean, you're still only a couple laps into the race, but this is the time when maybe you can get a little bit, get a little bit extra fuel in the tank. Has a race. This has a good tendency to go green all the way. I mean, these guys race clean. They race pretty even. If you see a green flag race, you're gonna see green flag pit stops, and that could well break up the field here.
And before the caution came out, we started talking about the differing strategies that come through here with the sim racing world and with these mile-and-a-half cookie cutter tracks. Seen a lot of different things that these guys have been able to do with green flag pit stops and long runs, is uh, staying out, seeing how long the tires can hold off, really gambling here. And we're in Las Vegas, where gambling is absolutely one of the top things you're going to do in the area. And a lot of these guys are going to have to gamble to try and get themselves into the round of four here. Coppola and Douthwaite, they know they're good. They've already won races this round in the round of 8. They have already concreted their starting spots in the championship round of 4 next week. Bowens and Boyles, they came in third and fourth, but tied in the top 4, but they're only 7 points ahead of that bubble spot being held by Tim Wortman Jr., 7 points out, and then it's 32, 34, and 35 points back to Bonneville, Ruff, and Keith Hume Sr. So those guys need to come home with a victory here, and that's going to be one of those things we really need to keep an eye on. If somebody like a Bonneville or a Ruff or a Hume comes home with the victory, which one of these other drivers is going to get bumped out on the account of points? So it's going to be interesting to see here. We got 95 laps to try and figure it out. Looks like the lights are off in the iRacing pace car, and we're going to be going green flag racing here for the last chance qualifier 150 at Vegas.
Yeah, we were here with NEP a couple of weeks ago, and we actually did start off the race with one of the long green flag runs. And there is definitely some tire fall off here. You've got to kind of manage your stuff from start to finish of the run, and hopefully you'll get yourself in the position to do it. But you've got to kind of hang in there, take it easy a little bit, let the track come to you, and let those tires come to you. See what happens.
And you can see all those 8 drivers with the yellow windshield banners over the top of the windshield, and they've got the yellow spoilers on the back of the race cars as well, making it easy for the fans, making it easy for us to find out who is going to be racing for that championship. And that number is going to get cut into exactly half. Going to be 4 drivers eligible for the championship next week at Homestead Miami Speedway, live right here on Verdane TV. And it's going to be a shootout, because out of those 4 drivers, whichever driver finishes the best is going to come home with the championship, just like the NASCAR Cup Series started doing a few years ago. And it's going to be absolutely interesting, because these guys, very diverse mix of tracks here, and Homestead is kind of a track in by itself. But green flag once again, Wayne Bowen with the hole shot gets a huge jump on the outside, and it looks like he's going to have enough to clear Coppola going into turn 1.
Yeah, he's got a good jump there, and if he can hang on, he might. He called his shot last week. He said he was going to be fast here. He said he was going to be a threat here. Now he's got to follow through with that.
Trying to get some momentum rolling as we steamroll into the final race of the season next week. Before we get there, 100 laps on the docket here tonight, and you can see Chris Spear on the outside in that number 7 car. Not in the championship hunt any longer, but still trying to come home with the victory, and that's going to be very important to keep in mind. We've got the Bounty Hunter Challenge up to $125 for any driver outside of the championship contention that can come home with the victory. And you can see here 3 of the top 4 championship contenders. That 4th driver is the teammate of Kenny Coppola in that number 7 of Chris Spear, and he looks very quick on that outside line.
Yeah, Spear coming up the outside. We saw the 23 of Ken Ellert dropping back there on the start. Just fell back behind the pack. Looking for a couple of those teammates running further back, but it looks like there's a little bit of a breakaway. Some cars running a bit behind the leaders right now. About a 2-second breakaway to the last 4 or 5 in the field.
Pretty much double file all the way around the racetrack. Almost 3 wide between Douthwaite, the 8 and the 5 there of Boyles. They think better of it, and they sort it back into 2x2. But this is a good opportunity. We've gotten a couple of green flag laps under our belt now, and these drivers are looking for real estate that they can utilize, that they can use to their advantage, and try and get around the drivers in front of them and hold off the drivers behind them. So this is where the part of the race where I think you're going to see a lot of these guys try different lines, maybe go up to the outside wall or go right down to the apron, or really anywhere in between. You can see even as we enter in and we come out of turn number 4 here, there's just so many different lines that these drivers are kind of utilizing. And as we get more rubber on the track, I think that's going to expand.
Yeah, this is to make no mistake. I mean, it's yes, Vegas is patterned after the tri-oval, D-oval craze of the '90s, but this is not just a cookie cutter track. It's a racy little joint. There's a lot of opportunity here to move, a lot of opportunity to test things out. You're still in the early stage of the run. Your car, your tires, the best they're going to be right now. So now's the time to figure out what you've got, what you can do, and maybe figure out what you've got to plan what your move's going to be late in the race when maybe you don't have the most under you at the time.
And oh, by the way, there's 100 laps of action in between the start and the finish to try and kind of decipher that game plan. A lot of these drivers, as we talk to them, come in with almost a game plan kind of set for the race, whether it goes one way or the other. And with everything going on during green flag racing and cautions and this, that, and the other thing, it's really tough to kind of decipher what's going to happen at the racetrack, but it's always good to have a backup plan and a lot of thinking on your feet. You see the 2-car, the new colors there, black and purple, sharp-looking ride, getting a little bit on the loose side there on the inside of Bonifield in the 33, but he holds on to it and he moves himself up one spot into the 8 spots. Bobby Justice moving forward.
Yeah, it looked like Bonifield actually washed out a little bit going into 4. He kind of slipped up the banking, and Ed Boyles got under him there. But he's he's doing it again. He's washing up a little bit high out of 4. Drop back there, Jameson Milnes got under him, and the whole pack's just kind of freight training him. He's going to the back of that pack in a hurry.
Struggling with the handling there of the 33 car, and you can see back in the back of the pack now as the 52 car of Drew Moffitt gets down and around, and this is good for the 33 car because it gives him a chance to kind of feel out the car, feel out what's wrong, and it may even just be something where he's trying to get some heat into the tires and get that thing to really hold on to the racetrack. But up front, still the 11 car, Wayne Bowen holding on to that lead from the restart. Dave Douthwaite in the 34 car moved up into second. We've got a 3-way battle here for that second spot. Teammates, the 77 of Kenny Coppola and the 7 of Chris Spear duking it out for the 3rd and 4th spot.
Yeah, the leaders are keeping it close, and with 50% fuel capacity on these guys, they are going to be in the pits often. That's gonna definitely jumble things up. So at this point, you're already thinking ahead. What's your fuel load? What are you burning off? How quick are you going to want to come in for those fresh tires? And when is everybody else going to make the jump? It's going to be a game of monkey see, monkey do, like we've seen pretty much everywhere else.
Side by side for the lead now. Douthwaite up on the high side. The 11 of Bowen down on the bottom, and with green flag pit stops looming in the very near future here. The first driver to pull down pretty much kind of sets the pace for the rest of the field, because as soon as you come down to get the fresh Goodyear rubber on those tires, you're going to be handling a lot better. You're going to be running faster lap times, and that's detrimental to the rest of the field. And you can see Dave Douthwaite leading a lap now, pulling out just about a car length or 2 over Wayne Bowen, but Bowen really able to close it up here on the corner entry.
Yeah, Douthwaite's kind of the lone Ford in that top 5 pack there, but he's making it work. Not to say Bowen doesn't have a whole lot of help either as a Toyota, but there they are right at the front. Douthwaite was really strong, a good leader in the pack over at Talladega. The field got pretty broken up there, but Douthwaite had that race in command pretty much from the drop of the green to the checkers.
And a lot of the help for that number 11 car comes with practice and testing with the Joe Gibbs Racing teammates. Very, very strong stable, and those guys have made mention many, many times throughout the season. They do a lot of testing throughout the week in between races. So as soon as we get wrapped up here at Vegas, you can bet those guys are going to be right on the jumbo jet, getting the haulers all lined up to head down to Miami, Florida, and get testing on there to see what they can do to try and get themselves a victory and try and get that 11 car in a victory lane to get him a championship. And you'd see Bowen moving to the lead now here on the lap number 17, and pretty much single file up towards the top. But that 3-4 car battle starting to accordion up just a little bit. The 8 car joins the picture of Kevin Ruff in the Goodyear machine, speaking of which. Tim Wortman Jr. moving on up there as well. Bobby Justice in the 2, Ed Boyles in the 5. Everybody trying to get a little TV time here.
Yeah, they're keeping it really close early. They're not getting too strung out. I mean, you wonder how much right now is a game of tire savings. You're trying to make sure that you don't burn anything off too early, but you're probably maybe I'm not quite sure what they're at the pace they're burning fuel. If we get another 10 laps, another 15 laps. I know in the Xfinity cars we were racing at Vegas, we got about a 35-40 lap run. I believe we're running 75% at Vegas. So these guys probably make it about 30 laps on a run. So it'll give them a few stops under green. That last stop with about 10 laps to go is going to be pretty exciting if we don't have a caution to settle it out.
And we may very well see a couple of drivers try and run this race backwards as far as the fuel strategy goes, kind of short pit, get down on pit road a little bit early to try and get that tank full just a little bit quicker. We've seen that happen times and time again here on Verdane TV. But taking a look, Wayne Bowen getting back around for the lead, the number 19 or lap number 19 for the 11 car. Douthwaite moving back by about a half second, but still holding on to the second spot. And there you can see Coppola, Spear, and Ruff rounding out the top 5. Biggest mover of the race is going to be that 8 car so far. He's moved up 8 spots from where he qualified, currently holding on to the 5th spot. And he's got a little bit of company with the 5 car. Ed Boyles Jr. up on the high side, Tim Wortman Jr. down in the bottom with the 00.
And Kevin Ruff had a heartbreaker last week. He was in position to make a play for the win last week at Nashville. He had a really great run going. A little slip in the corner cost him that opportunity. Cost Wayne Bowen the opportunity as well. And it's just a shame that had to happen. Kevin had some trouble at Talladega, put him in a hole. The finish last week at Nashville just dug that hole a little bit deeper. He's sitting here running 5th tonight, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to get up there and win this race.
Yeah, coming 34 points outside of the bubble in 7th place in points. Really needs to come home with a victory. A little bit of a smaller field here tonight. 18 cars making the call. 17 still on the lead lap right now. The 9 car of Matt Mackin, the only car down in the garage area after that lap 7 incident. But Kevin Ruff really needs to make a little magic happen here and needs to try to get around Bonifield and Wortman, potentially up around Bowen and Boyles. Definitely an opportunity to potentially maybe point in, but still really have to come home with a victory to guarantee your spots race for the championship next Wednesday here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah, I was checking out Guy Bonifield too. He's dropped quite a bit off. He's about half lap off the pace right now. Looks like whatever he had, we talked about maybe he had gotten a little bit out of shape, had some trouble with the car, trouble with tires maybe. Whatever happened is not getting any better. And as championship contender, he's going to need a pretty good swing in his favor. Maybe catch the guys a little bit off sequence on a pit stop, a timely caution. Otherwise, he's probably on the outside looking in at this point.
Great onboard shot of the 8 car of Kevin Ruff, and you can see in these iRacing cars lots of different buttons and switches, just like the real race cars. And I myself am very excited to have my U-House Racing Design button box getting shipped this week. Pretty excited to get that in the mail here, and great to have U-House Racing Designs jump on board with the network here at Verdane TV to sponsor the instant replay. Awesome to have that. They do a lot of hardware work for the sim racing world, so definitely check them out at U-House Racing Designs on Facebook. And the action's still heating up here at Las Vegas, quarter distance in the book, and it's still that 11 car. Wayne Bowen has a really good lead now, almost over a full second over Kenny Coppola now, the new second place driver. And a little bit of a hornet's nest. I wouldn't really call it a hornet's nest, but these guys definitely showing that they've got some quick race cars and they want to do some green flag racing. Chris Spear kind of weaving back and forth now behind Douthwaite, trying to see if he can break up the air and get around that 34 car.
Absolutely. And I mean, Bowen right now has a little bit of insurance in the form of Coppola and Douthwaite. I mean, even if he were to finish second or third, he's still going to be best in show amongst the rest of the playoff contenders here. So by doing that, even if as long as he's in that top 3, he can pretty much be assured of advancing. It's going to take, but at the same time, anything could happen. Chris Spears haunting the back bumper of that 34. He's going to want by eventually, and Ruff might have to push the issue to get him by there.
And before he can get down and around there, you can see pit stops. Didn't quite see that coming, and it almost looked like the rest of the field didn't either. But green flag pit stops here on lap number 27. Coppola came down from the lead. Dave Douthwaite, Chris Spear, Kevin Ruff, Tim Wortman Jr., and Jamison Middlemiss in the 16, all coming down at pit road to get themselves some service. And this is interesting. This tells me that these guys are going to try and split this into a 3 pit stop race coming down probably right around 25, 50, and well, two stops. 75. I'm. That's why I'm not a driver. I'm not good at math.
It's okay. We see Wayne Bowen coming down pit road now, so it looks like he stayed out that one extra lap, maybe a little bit better mileage on the Toyota. Hard to say, but he's coming down now. And once that first pack comes in, the last thing you want to do is stay out there on old tires and get yourself behind. Ed Boyles is kind of taking that gamble right now. He's battling back with looks like that is Jimmy Absher racing him for second. That's Wayne Bowen's teammate in the JGR car. But they are. It looks like Boyles is going to peel off and leave Absher on the track.
18 car of Trevor Absher staying out on track. One of the Joe Gibbs Racing staple drivers here, having himself a really good run here at Vegas. Moffitt right in behind him in the 52, staying out on track as well. Looks like Miller in the 48, Hume and Cook going to be the drivers that stay out. Battles down on pit road. Ed Boyles Jr., Bobby Justice down on pit road here as well. So these guys know that they're going to have to come down pit road, and the 18 car is going to do that now. He's going to bring the 52 of Drew Moffitt with him here to get some service there. The 48 car going to stay out one more lap, potentially maybe two more laps, as is Keith Hume Sr. in the South Point Casino car. And having to kind of shake it up a little bit, roll the dice, so to speak, here at Las Vegas for Hume in the one car. If he can catch a good caution here, get him some track position, maybe hold on to a top five here for the restart, definitely would be beneficial to his championship hunt here. But right now, 8th place in points, 38-point markers back, has to come home with the victory here. And you can see those fresh tires on the 11 machine drove by that one, almost like he was standing still.
Yeah, keep in mind the one car was one of those that came down on pit road after, so he's probably a couple laps to the good on that first caution flag. But at this point, yeah, the tires are just giving out too bad. If you're in his position, you're really hoping for a very timely caution, somebody to spin out on pit road, somebody to make a little mistake that gets you back in the running. But at the same time, again, you're all or nothing at this phase. I mean, you have to take a couple swings, you have to take a couple chances. Where else but lost wages? I mean, lost wages. Losing money at the slot machine, losing money at the race car goes hand in hand.
And speaking of slot machines, that South Point Casino machine going to come down pit road at Las Vegas. It's going to leave the 41 car of Josh Battles out on track, though. The lone driver to come down that still has to come down and make the pit stop here under green flag conditions here on lap number 32. And that's going to add a little bit of fuel to the fire here for the different pit strategies here, because some drivers are going to be able to split it into 4 separate sections. If he can make it here to lap 33, lap 34, that's a third of the distance, and he's actually going to cross the 1/3 marker here on pit road. So going to be interesting to see how the 41 car recovers here after this pit stop and when these drivers come out. But I think once everything gets all sorted through here, Wayne Bowen in the 11 car going to re-inherit the lead.
Yeah, for reference, you've got Guy Bonifield we were talking about earlier, and he's actually still on track. He didn't pit yet under that sequence, but he's only a couple seconds ahead of the 11 car. So that puts, Wayne's shaved a few seconds a lap off here. He's up here. Here he comes. It looks like he's making that entrance to pit road. Oh, that's off too. He's coming back on track. I'm sorry, but that'll get him off pit road. So that should balance things out. Looks like Joshua Battle's still hanging out there, but Wayne Bowen's only 7 seconds back. He's closing in.
Battle's finally coming down pit road in that 41 car to get some service. That's going to give Wayne Bowen the lead, and you can see just like before the caution, or before the pit stops rather, still has quite a handsome lead. It's down to 0.6 of a second there, but everybody in behind him battling for that second spot. You got Douthwaite, Spear, Coppola, Wortman right in line, and a little bit further on back you see the 33 guy Bonifield trying to get back up to speed after coming down pit road. But these guys have kind of stretched it out just a little bit. They're giving each other lots of room. The 41 car goes a lap down there for Josh Battles after leading a couple laps under caution. But these drivers have kind of sorted it out just a little bit, doing a little bit of little studying, doing their homework right now, kind of looking at the back bumpers and seeing how the cars are reacting to the turns and seeing how they kind of interact with the racetrack and the other cars on track, and trying to see what they can do, what they can utilize to make themselves come out on top here, come out with the victory at Las Vegas. And it takes a lot of mind power to really get in and show what's going on. And you can see second, third, and fourth, bumper to bumper to bumper, using a little bit of draft here. Not a plate track race here, but still, the draft definitely does help you out a little bit. They were able to close back up now to 2/10 of a second off the back bumper of Wayne Bowen in the 11 car. So a couple teammates there with the 7 and the 77 working up towards the front. Douthwaite in the 34 looking very strong, but they're all chasing that Joe Gibbs Racing number 11 of Wayne Bowen. He wants to come home with a victory.
Yeah, you got a good little freight train out front there, and you see Ed Boyles just about 4 seconds back right now. That's the difference, maybe between staying out a couple extra laps there. That's set him off. He's going to need that caution to catch back up. He's not going to be able to do it even with a little bit of a drive. The back of the field's a little bit more split up at this point, so I'll be curious to see at this point. Again, they're kind of just all gambling on trying to get together there, getting a timely yellow to get caught back up.
Taking a peek a little bit further on back, you can see Ed Boyles Jr. in a 5 car holding on to that 6th spot, a little bit further on back from where he qualified. Jamison Middleman's having a good run in the 16 car. He's up to the 7th position, gained 7 spots from where he qualified. Current biggest mover of the race in that 16 car. And then it's a little bit further on back to the next handful of drivers is Jimmy Absher. I love that color scheme, paint scheme there of the Rowdy Energy Drink number 18 car. Very cool looking paint scheme. Kevin Ruff in the 8 car, talked about him a little bit earlier with Drew Moffitt still working together there, 9th and 10th, and Ken Ellert in the McDonald's ride right outside of the top 10, currently running in 11th.
It's actually interesting to see Guy Bonifield's racing with the leaders right now. He was one of the ones that held out for a while, came into pit, so he's actually on slightly fresher tires than the leader. But he's sitting here racing with Kenny Capola. He's racing actually pretty aggressively side by side while the rest of that front pack's still single file. He could, if he's got enough speed, he could maybe get himself back on lead lap. If he catches a caution, that could be pretty beneficial, though. He's in the lucky dog spot right now. No other car's really in jeopardy of losing a lap. He's probably in pretty good position should a caution come out to get back in contention here.
Car doesn't seem to have too many dents on it, and you can see hanging up tough with the leaders and actually being able to pass that 77 car is something that a lot of these drivers haven't been able to do this season. Kenny Capola very, very fast, especially in the second half, really picking up momentum, and to have the 33 car drive on by and then set his sights on his teammate Chris Spear a few positions in front of him, now side by side down on the bottom side, is no small feat. So Guy Bonifield trying to utilize those little bit fresher tires to get up towards the front, get his lap back the hard way here. Not going to try and wait for a caution, doesn't want to gamble on it.
Absolutely, we were saying this isn't the biggest of aero tracks, but the aero still plays it still plays a role in these modern cars. You can't any opportunity you can to get a little bit of a draft is going to benefit you. Here he is; he's closing up on second place Douthwaite now, and that's giving him a good shot at being in that catbird seat. The next couple, there's 2 more cars, about 8-9 seconds. Oh, it looks like we've got a problem with Bonifield. Looks like he scrubbed off a lot of that advantage, got up at the wall there.
And that's one of those things that we expect here, really getting after the race car and trying to attack the racetrack. You can see drifting up just a little bit. Tim Wortman getting down to the bottom side. Looks like he's going to be able to get around just fine. But that's one of those things where you're white-knuckle racing. You're really trying to get up towards the front, get around the leader, and show that you've got a car that compete with those leaders, and trying to really get into that championship round of 4 next week and doing everything that you possibly can, letting it all hang out here at Las Vegas, and every once in a while you get up there and that wall just kind of reaches out and grabs you. So that's a tough break for the 33 of Bonifield. We'll see what he can do here. Still half the race to go, 56 laps here as we cross the stripe to go at Las Vegas. So we'll see what happens with the 33 cars. We continue.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, and I at the risk of focusing on that car, I mean, he is a championship contender, but he's sitting here 1 lap down, which is really putting him in a kind of a panic situation. So I'll be curious to see if he can rebound from that.
Going to be trying a lot of different strategies for sure, and you can see already trying it, staying out on track as long as he did, and trying to jumble up the pit road just a little bit, the pit squeeze sequence just a little bit, but doesn't seem like it's working right now. We'll see what else is up the sleeve there of the 33, but they're all still chasing Wayne Bowen. He's got himself that clean air. He's got himself his earbuds in, listening to a little music, out for a Sunday drive now, almost 2 seconds over Dave Douthwaite. You can see second on through 5th or 6th is still pretty much lined up single file.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of music would be playing in that car. Maybe a little bit of Steel. Of course, I always think of Steely Dan Showbiz Kids, the song that comes to mind for Vegas for me recently lately.
It's always been kind of a question lingering in the back of the mind. What kind of music some of these drivers listen to, and it's always you always think like rock or rap or something along those lines. And I mean, then you get drivers like me. Well, I say drivers like me. I've got 3 starts under my belt, I'm not very good at sim racing, but man, I'll listen to anything from Kid Rock to Britney Spears to Metallica, yeah, all over the place. A lot of Upchurch mixed up in there, and it's always a wonder. It's kind of tuning into some of these drivers' voice channels. Some of them will sing along with the music, and man, it's a scary sight for sure.
I'm going to actually reverse on my comment there and say that I really wouldn't want music in the car at this point. I'm listening to the car, I'm listening to the track, listening to what the spotter has to say, listening to any teammates, seeing what advice they can bring to the table. It's just, I mean, you need that. I don't know. Some people would need that focus. Some focus in different ways.
Absolutely, and you can see a good opportunity here for some team communication between Spear and Coppola. They are in the same voice chat channel that you've got here. You've got an open mic or an open channel rather, with all the drivers and race officials, so you can kind of communicate what's going on track. But you've also got your own side channels that you're able to talk to the teammates or anybody else that may be in there, talk strategy, when you're going to come down pit road, how some of the drivers are reacting, who's slowing down, who's getting faster. And it really helps out in a big way. It's almost like having additional spotters all the way around the racetrack, and having more eyes on the track and more information being kind of fed into you inside that helmet, inside of your racer's mind, so to speak. It really helps with the decision making, having more and more information to base it on. But these guys look like they're going to have to work and try and combine a little bit more information, because Wayne Bowen is driving away. He is checked out. He's got 3.5 seconds now over Dave Douthwaite. Tim Wortman Jr. taking lap number 50, splitting this race right into 4 sections. He's going to come down in the 00 machine to get some service on that race car and try and take advantage of fresh tires, maybe see if he can make up a little bit of ground on the leaders and try and catch this pack that's trying to catch Wayne Bowen.
Yeah, Keith Hume just made the same call. Again, another guy who's at the back of the championship battle here has to take a big swing to possibly make that jump if he's going to have a chance to win here. And he just got lapped. He came in, made that pit stop. It looked like he was struggling for a bit there. He dropped like a rock in the last couple laps. But if that's what it takes, you take the pit stop early. I mean, you're already a lap down. You're under green flag conditions. Why not take the chance? You've got absolutely nothing to lose here, everything to gain.
Force in the hand for some of the lead lap cars. Coppola, Douthwaite, Boyles, Spear, and Middlemiss all going to come down, get service to their machine. Going to leave the Joe Gibbs Racing cars out on track for at least a lap. Wayne Bowen going to come down, more than likely going to bring Jimmy Apsher with him. Nope, Apsher going to stay out on track, lead himself a lap. Drew Moffitt in the 52 going to stay out as well, and that is big news for the 11 car, coming down all by himself, it looks like, on pit road. That other group of 4, 5, almost 6 cars getting ready, already peeling off onto the racetrack. So those guys are going to be able to work together a little bit. They're going to have a little bit of drafting help with each other. Wayne Bowen going to be all by himself in that 11 car, and I think that's going to be the best opportunity for anybody to get around that 11 car. Wayne Bowen very strong here in the first half of the race.
Absolutely, and this is also a point where if you've got a teammate that's not fully in contention, you can kind of rely on him. We ran into this with the NEP Super Trucks last year, where I wasn't certainly the fastest driver on the track, but that put me in the position where I could sit back and kind of monitor what's going on with other teams, what strategy plays are out there, what are we doing on fuel load, and that kind of gives you the luxury of having somebody who can keep an eye on that, maybe so you don't need to do so yourself.
Kevin Ruff staying out in that 8 car. Ken Ellert right in behind him with the 48 of Michael Miller, and Derek Cook in the 14 car out on track as well. 4 drivers still have to come down and make a pit stop, trying to stretch it out, trying to roll the dice again here at Las Vegas and do a little gamble, see if the caution flag is going to come out here. And that would be very huge for the 4 drivers still out on the racetrack, as there's only 4 cars on the lead lap, as we're right smack dab in the middle of a pit cycle. But there you can see Ruff going to pull down in the 8 car, get some service to that machine. Going to leave Ken Ellert out to lead a couple of laps in a McDonald's ride.
And if you look, this kind of juggled up everything behind. It looks like Tim Morton might have been the guy to benefit from that. He's moved up to basically when this cycle's through, he's going to end up second place. So he was able to pick off a couple cars there with some good moves on pit road. He came in a lap earlier than some of the leaders.
So pit stops in effect, and again, you can see just how quick. Well, that's not a fair example because the 23 was going to come down pit road there, give up that lead, and looks like it's going to slide over to potentially the 14 car. We'll see if Derek Cook wants to stay out for another lap, get a little green flag, lead lap action, and it looks like he does. So the 14 car. Nope, that's not accurate. Yes, it is. There he is. Going to come down and lead the lap as he crosses the stripe, waiting for timing and scoring to keep up. And Ellert down on pit road, getting the McDonald's machine sorted on out. And Wayne Bowen going to be in third, even by himself without the draft. But it's only about a second and a half back to Tim Wortman in that third position now. So those drivers pitting together, exiting together, able to make up just a little bit of ground on the 11.
Yeah, anything helps in this situation. And again, a driver, Derek Cook, he's got a chance to win this race. Nothing else really matters at this stage. So if you stay out there, play the strategy, we can see the number 2 car getting around him on the outside. Bobby Justice driving away from him off turn 2 there. But at this point, you've made your bed. This is your strategy. You go with it. You hope the cards fall in your favor.
And you can hear that car off the throttle, going to come down pit road, give up that lead, and come down and get some service to his machine, make it a lap lost here as the drivers thunder on down the backstretch into turn number 3, out of turn number 4. And you can see Bowen very, very smooth in that 11 car, going to inherit the lead once they cross the stripe. It looks like Wortman just a little bit further on back in the 00. He's able to move up around all those cars to slide into second position. Kenny Coppola still holding on to it. Dave Douthwaite, Ed Boyles Jr., Josh Battles, Guy Bonifield still up in there. One thing I got to point out, that 7 car, Chris Spear, way down the scoring pylon, down in the 13th position. So there might have been a foul pit stop there, maybe a penalty down on pit road for the 7 car, but one of the top 5 contenders all the way back almost in the back of the field here.
Yep, those are the kind of things that can really spoil your day. We saw Evan Bollier had a little spin on pit road when we were at Vegas a couple weeks back, and that definitely sets you back. I mean, now you're reeling, and I believe he rebounded to a 15th place finish. But Evan, he's a driver who always spends his time in the top 5 in these NEP events. So to see that happen, I mean, it doesn't take much. You can slide the tires, miss your pit stall, anything could happen, and seconds are laps.
14 car Derek Cook rejoining the field here. You can see getting put down a lap, but still the first car 1 lap down if the caution does in fact come out. And you can see Kenny Coppola trying a lot of different lines in that 77 car. Doesn't have the extra set of eyes with his teammate Chris Spear anymore, so having to kind of attack the track not so much alone. I'm sure he's on some voice channels there. Lots of late season co-opetition trying to get that championship into the 77 camp. But you can see he's able to pull away from this group in behind him. Dave Douthwaite holding on to the lead of that group. You got Boyles in there as well as Hume. Hume is actually a lap down in 15th. He's going to be the new driver. That's the first driver 1 lap down if the caution flag comes down. But still everybody chasing Wayne Bowen. Almost 2 seconds the lead for Bowen over the 00 of Wortman. So it's the 11, the 11, the 1, the 00, and the 7 up on the podium right now.
And to highlight how things can change, how quickly things can change, we were talking about Ed Boyles Jr. kind of lost touch with that lead battle. He was about 4 or 5 seconds back before this last sequence of pit stops. Now he's 3 seconds back at the lead, and he's kind of just right there. He's breathing down the back of David Douthwaite. Now, by comparison, Jamison Middlemiss is up in the top 10, running pretty well. He's currently sitting a lap down. He's actually his last car lap down. He's running second to last in the field, 17. So that's, fortunes can change very quickly. Roll of the dice here is all it takes.
Guy Bonifield, Josh Battle's going to come down on pit road. Looks like they're splitting this race into thirds, so we'll see how that benefits them. Looks like the rest of the field going to have 1 more pit stop right around lap number 75, so 10 to 13 laps from now, working lap number 63, 100 on the docket. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here to Verdane TV. A little bit of championship coverage here for the Loose Lugz Cup Series, the race before the final race of the season. Going to be having 4 drivers go for that championship trophy next week at Homestead Miami Speedway, and Verdane TV covering all the action. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the booth alongside me, Jeff Brown, and just under 40 laps to go, 35 and a half or so laps to go here at Las Vegas. One more green flag pit stop for these lead lap cars, and you can see 18 cars made the call. Matt Mackin, early incident down on pit road. Lots of damage to that number 9 Napa machine. Still getting worked on. Don't think he's going to make it back out to the track. I think that thing's going to be packed up and shipped on down to Miami or back to the shop, and then we'll get a new car from Miami next week to try and come home with a victory here. 17 cars still on track and 12 of them still on the lead lap. And again, for about the last 40 or so laps, everybody chasing Wayne Bowen in that 11 car.
Yeah, and since that first lap miscue here, it's been clean and green ever since. And so that's I mean at this point you're kind of having to count on that. That's how you're playing your strategy. If you get a feel for the race, and if we had it at Oxford this past weekend, no one could have seen in our Oxford 250 that you were going to run the first 80 laps under green. It was absolutely unheard of. But then of course we had that rash of mid-race cautions, and that jumbled up the field a little bit, allowed a few people to get up where they belonged and recover from maybe some mistakes made on pit road.
And that's what's going through the minds of a lot of these drivers on track right now. If we do, in fact, get a late race caution, is it going to breed more cautions? We see that happen many, many times in both sim racing and real racing, where you'll get a rash of 3, 4, maybe 5 cautions lined right up in a row, and it really knocks a lot of drivers off their momentum, off their mojo. And with these long green flag runs, you look at guys like Bowen and Wortman and Coppola. Those are long run guys. Those are guys that really get into the momentum, and they really get into the movement of the race car, and they kind of pick up and put down, and they put the laps in and really focus in on it. And a lot of times when you've got a lot of cautions and you've got to go through all these restarts, and there's so many different things to think about, a lot of times you get a little bit jammed up. So with these long green flag runs, it really is an opportunity for these guys to kind of clear their head out, especially where we've got a little bit of room on the track all the way around. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's right now with 32 laps to go. Might see that change here just a little bit in the next 30 laps, but for right now, everybody putting on a heck of a show.
Exactly, and the thing about a long green flag run like this, where the field gets a little spread out, is it's now you're depending on the one person. If you're the guy who's sitting back there a lap down or way back in the pack, and you're dreaming about that caution. You're hoping, you're on the radio, kind of hoping you see debris that somebody else doesn't see. And you're looking for any reason possible to throw the yellow. And unfortunately, you realize you're probably not going to get it unless somebody slips. I mean, at this point, it's not going to be a matter of the two. You're going to end up single car incidents. You're going to have something pretty significant to draw that yellow flag.
And in many cases here on Verdane TV, especially here in the Loose Lugz Cup Series, well, not especially here in the Loose Lugz, but it's definitely happened here. It's happened with all the leagues that we've worked with over the past 2 years in Verdane's TV existence. We'll see some of those fast guys make a late race mistake, whether they kind of get into the back of their head, where they get a little bit too comfortable and kind of ease up just a little bit, and all of a sudden, you'll see the leader up in the outside wall or on a road course, maybe hitting a tire barrier or something along those lines. So it's not over till it's over, especially here in the sim racing world, and we've seen some crazy finishes here on Verdane TV, and these drivers know that. These drivers know that they have to stay focused until that checkered flag flies, and Wayne Bowen doing just that, almost 3 seconds the lead over Wortman in the 00, Coppola in the 77, 34 of Douthwaite up in the 4th spot, and Boyles holding on to the top 5. So championship contenders, Coppola and Douthwaite, they're already locked in. They're running 3rd and 4th on track right now. Bowen and Boyles came in third and fourth in the points. Bowen's leading, and Boyles is back in fifth. So to tell you that the top 4 championship contenders are running in the top 5 right now is no small feat. And oh, by the way, the 5th place guy in the points, that's going to be Wortman, and he's running second. So how about that? The top 5 guys in the championship points standings after an entire season. Here we are, 2 races, 1 race before the final race. Those top 5 championship contenders running top 5 on track.
Yeah, no pressure or anything. You got 27 laps left, and you're sitting here. If you're Tim Wortman, there's nothing you can do at this point. I mean, you're three seconds back at the leader, 3.2 seconds back at the leader. You're not going to catch him now. You're going to have to play something on your last stop. If you're Kenny Coppola, you're David Douthwaite, you're just kind of taking what you got. You've already punched your ticket. There's nothing you can do to make it any better. Just hang in there, and it's yours. And Boyles, yeah, you're on the hot seat. I mean, this is stressful. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is a stressful adventure. You don't know what that last pit stop's going to give you. You don't know if somebody's going to slip and cost you.
And that's a big thing. We saw in the last pit stop, Chris Spear running up in the top 5 all evening long. Made a mistake on pit road, and he is still not quite recovered outside the top 10 in 11th in that number 7 car. So that's going to be something these guys got to focus in on that pit stop as well. And we're going to have one more pit stop coming up here very shortly as we cross the stripe for lap number 75. And I think if we get somebody to pit early, well, I guess it wouldn't technically be early, but the first guy that comes down pit road going to have a little bit of an advantage because he's going to have those fresher tires. And you got to figure somebody here in the top 5, top 10 going to try and take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm looking a little bit back through the field trying to see. It looks like we do have our first takers.
Almost lost the bank there. The 77 of Kenny Coppola. Luckily, he's locked in by winning last week's show here on Verdane TV and hard on the binders. Got to make sure there was no speeding penalty. But there you see him, Coppola, Boyles, Wortman, Douthwaite, Moffitt, all on pit road for presumably their final pit stop of the evening. Wayne Bowen still out on track, and he's got his teammate now in second, although he's 10.5 seconds behind the leader. So again, Wayne Bowen left out on track by himself, and 5 or 6 drivers coming down pit road with each other to try and get a little bit of drafting help and try and get these guys down and around Wayne Bowen in the 11. But it's going to be one thing to get to the bumper of the 11. I think it's going to be another thing entirely to try and get around him.
And I anticipate he's not going to wait too much longer to make this final stop himself. Yep, he's slowing down here. You've at this point, you're committed. I mean, they made that call to come in a little bit early with only 24 laps left, and he's got to come in to get those tires. He does not want to lose any of that 3-second advantage he'd already built.
We made mention the Joe Gibbs Racing guys like to do a lot of practice in between races throughout the off time between the races here on Wednesday nights. That right there was a pit road entry of a guy that's practiced this pit road entry a couple of times. Nice and smooth, no brake smoke, no tire smoke, right down to speed, right in, all focused, that 11 car doing exactly what he needs to do on pit road. Now it's all up to the crew and to the driver here for the final 23 laps. Taking a peek at the 23 of Ken Allert, still out on track. Going to come down this time by, it looks like, there he is. And Bobby Justice in the 2 car right in behind him. The new purple and black scheme for him. Good colors there. Chris Spear, high, wide, and handsome on that pit road entry once again. Struggling just a little bit. Middle miss in the 16 car. Going to come in right next to him. And you can see it looks like a little bit of damage there in the right front of that 7 car. And that's going to hand the lead over to Michael Miller. And we got a little bit of a hornet's nest here with some drivers on old tires, some drivers on new tires, and a lot of drivers that haven't been around each other the entire race.
And I will almost guarantee you will not see that kind of pit entry, that kind of pit expertise and experience when we go to Hickory Motor Speedway tomorrow night for our NEP event. That's a different story. At Hickory being a little tiny bull ring, you're going to be lucky to get on pit road, get 2 tires, and get off without losing a lap.
Yeah, and it's always fun with iRacing to see that there's different racing styles, different cars, different tracks, different leagues, different ways to put on a show here at Verdane TV, and we like covered them all. Heck, there's dirt racing, road racing, short tracks, long tracks, big tracks. We got super speedway racing coming up this weekend on Verdane TV with Tim's Corner Motorsports. So lots of cool stuff coming up, and we still got 21 laps to get there here at Las Vegas with the Lugz Cup Series. Mike Miller going to come down pit road. The 14 car going to stretch it out just a little bit more, it looks like. Come down a little bit later on in the final couple of laps before his last pit stop, but this time he's got Wayne Bowen right in behind him, and that 11 car is an absolute rocket. And it looks like he's got about 3.5-second lead over Ed Boyles Jr. And Ed Boyles Jr. had a great pit stop. It's actually going to move him up to second once these pit stops cycle on through.
Yeah, once again, we talked about him being way out of the hunt, way out of the hunt. Now all of a sudden he's right back in the thick of things. An opportune restart at the end here. He's second place. He's in a great position to maybe steal this win from Bowen if he wants.
Wayne Bowen using every inch of the racetrack to get down and around the 14. Wants to make sure he doesn't make any late race contact or that late race mistake that we talked about here just a few laps ago. And you can see really putting some distance now in between he and Cook. Cook on those old tires still has to come down and make that final pit stop, but doing a little bit of a gamble here at Las Vegas to try and get some track position if we end up getting that late race caution. But you can see everybody's still chasing down the 11 car, and it's still these same four drivers, Wortman, Coppola, Boyles, and Douthwaite, all under a blanket battling it out for the third spot.
Yeah, it looks like Boyles backslid a little bit down as they kind of slid back to the back half of that top five there. Cook's committed to that strategy now. You got 17 laps to go. You're pretty much going to take what you got and go from there. He started almost shotgun on the field, so he's doing pretty well right now in the pack, but we'll have to see what he can do long distance here. Looks like he's already fallen off quite a bit from Wayne's pace.
Yeah, I was able to kind of latch on just a little bit for a few laps and hold on to the draft, get him pulled around this racetrack, but it looks like he's going to fall in to the clutches of this four-car pack. It might give him an opportunity to get a little draft help, and you can see 4 yellow banners in this pack, 4 championship contenders. Wortman in a must-win situation. Boyles doing okay on points. Came in with a 7-point cushion, trying to hold on to it. Douthwaite is in, won the first race of this round. He's going to be racing for that championship, as is Coppola, last week's winner, already advancing on to the show. And Kevin Ruff back there in 7th. He's in a must-win situation in that 8-car, who's outside of this 4-car pack. So everybody trying to put on a show, trying to write a story here, and trying to write themselves in as the victor with that championship trophy next week.
Yeah, we see. Looks like Cook's right off the pace now as Tim Morton leads Ed Boyles past. But yeah, this is for all the marbles. This sets up the what looks to be a great championship race next week. I mean, I love Homestead. Homestead's a really ideal track for a championship battle. It takes away some of the cookie cutter nature. It's a track you can pass on. It's a track that kind of lends itself to side by side battles. I think this is going to be fun next week. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a whole lot warmer, too, and hopefully there's not any snow on the ground.
Yeah, if you've got snow on the ground in Miami, you've got a problem.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like the 9-car rejoining the field. How about that? They got that nose on that car pretty well. Still 66 laps down, but coming out to finish this one strong, and that's good to see because all 18 drivers that started this race back out on track at this point. Derek Cook still on pit road, little extended pit stop in the 14, it looks like, but Bowen still holding on to it. 13 laps to go, better than 4-second lead. You right on board with him.
Yeah, at this point it's going to take caution to punch that field up. I think everybody's got what they've got to the end of the race, unless there's a caution with 2-3 to go. Maybe then you think about taking tires or see what everybody does around you. The leader's a sitting duck at that point, really. Everybody from second, it's all on what second place does. If the leader stays out, second place could choose to stay, and you never know. You never know. It's a gamble. Like we've been using gamble a lot, but that's truly what's at stake here.
And that's the thing. We do get that late race caution. Wayne Bowen can elect to stay out on the track. Everybody else comes down. That separates the 11 car. And then all of a sudden, you've got a bunch of drivers on pit road going to be making decisions, whether it's 2 tires or 4 tires. trying to take advantage. And I think the later we get into this, the more of those two-tire stops we might allegedly see. But right now, still clean and green, and everybody still minding their P's and Q's. And you can see even this four-car battle here we had for the second place has kind of stretched it out just a little bit. So it's approaching 10 laps to go here. Looks like the 18 of Jimmy Absher found himself pointing in the wrong direction, but called the tow truck, got that car reset there to pit road. So still Wayne Bowen, still Tim Wortman, still Ed Boyles Jr., the top three.
Yeah, it's a tough break for the 18. I mean, you said he was running a partial schedule this year, but you just hate to see it. He was having a decent run last week, if I recall, at Nashville, but caught up in another mess at the end of the race, and once again here to kind of taken out of contention with just a few laps to go.
Taking a peek around the track, you can see Tim Wortman Jr. in the second spot, Ed Boyles Jr., David Douthwaite, Kenny Coppola, top five in points, top five still on track. That's been the story all night long. Drew Moffitt in the 52 car back in sixth, chasing down that top five, and he's the biggest mover of the race, up 9 spots here on the night with 9 laps to go. Kevin Ruff in the 8 car. You see right in behind the 14 of Derek Cook, lap or so down, trying to get up towards the front of the pack, but the 14 struggling with the handling just a little bit, it looks like. Ken Allert in the 23 back here with the 1 of Hume, and must-win situation mode for that 1 car to try and move on to the championship next week. Doesn't look like that's happening here tonight. Chris Spear gaining a couple of spots, but not quite the recovery he was looking for. He's in 9th, he's in that top 10, but was running up in the top 5 before the mid-race pit stop. And you can see Wayne Bowen, man, in the 11 car, put another 0.2 of a second on that lead, really doing what he needs to do. He's got clean air. Doesn't look like there's going to be any lap traffic in front of him, and he's just got to hit his mark here for 7 more laps.
Indeed, I mean this is and if he brings this car to Homestead next week, it might be over before it starts. I mean that car is absolutely on rails, and I mean we see TRD performance out of the Gibbs shop in the NASCAR is absolutely second to none, and we see that again here tonight. I mean the lone Toyota at the head of the field, big pack of Chevys and a couple stray Fords behind them, but boy, that car is some sort of hooked up.
Yeah, 100%, and we'll talk to Wayne Bowen after the race here, and I can guarantee you one of the things he's going to say is he's going to thank his team for all the practice and hard work they've put in as a team on the setup and on the strategies here on track. The Joe Gibbs Racing, really one of the premier teams here in the Loose Lug Cup Series, putting in a lot of work here. Not to say that everybody else doesn't. The Hendrick Motorsports guys are strong. The Richard Childress guys with the Spire Motorsports stable, very, very strong as well. But those Joe Gibbs guys really put in a lot of the practice laps, and it shows at the track, especially here at Las Vegas with Wayne Bowen out front by a country mile. And that's crazy to say because we're in Vegas. 4.5 second lead, and as they cross the stripe there, high five from Barney and the Flagman. 5 laps to go, and we're going to find out which 4 of these drivers are going to be racing for that championship next week at Homestead.
Yeah, 5 laps is still plenty of time for anything to happen, but at this point, you kind of see the shape of this thing. You got Douthwaite and Coppola just kind of hanging back. At this point, there's nothing to race for them. They're already in. They've punched their ticket. They can kind of just sit back and chill. But Wortman Boyles racing for that one last spot, depending how things go here. It looks like we do have the slow 9 car on the track, and he's probably going to drop a lap down, but I'd expect he'll probably stay right out of Bowen's way. There's none of his team. Well, Boyle's running third, but there's really nothing to fight for at this point. Nothing to cause trouble for the leaders here.
Yep, couldn't get the hauler out of the racetrack, so we decided to spend a little bit of time on racetrack in the car. But there you can see Kenny Coppola dropping back a little bit in that 77 car. That whole 4-car group kind of broke up just a little bit. You can see Wortman has the advantage over Boyles right now for second, and they're still chasing Wayne Bowen. 5 seconds to lead, 3 laps to go here at Las Vegas, and it's a great run for Bowen because it's really a momentum builder because you come into the night as we cross the stripe with popsicle sticks up in the flag stand, 2 laps to go, and Bowen came into the night third in points, 7 points over the cushion. It didn't matter. Still wanted to come home with the victory. Wanted to make sure that he was going to be the guy that came home with the championship next week. And right now, all he's got to do is hit a couple more corners. Whoa, there's some contact with the 9 car. Matt Mackin up into the 11 car. I wonder if that had something to do, maybe a little bit of a receipt for the earlier incident there on lap number 7. But that's going to be the white flag. We stay green. That 00 car really smoking on into the back bumper now. That's one heck of a move there from the 9.
I'll say there's, and it's really hard to know not being down there, but you don't race a lap car, you don't race the leaders like that. I mean, you got to give the leaders their head. Fortunately, it's not going to affect Wayne here. It looks like he's going to hang on for second here or for the win here. But boy, you just don't race the leaders like that.
Yeah, and you can see it. Wayne Bowen going to come home with with the victory here at Las Vegas. Lock himself in for that championship race next week is exactly he intended to do, and it looks like by points, Ed Boyles finishing third, going to lock himself in to the round of 4, and a great run, very dominating run, and that's going to do a lot for the momentum of the 11 car.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was a really nerve wracking moment there for the leader. But to come away with the win, you can kind of laugh that sort of thing off at this point. I mean, if it's inconsequential, didn't have anything to do with it, didn't really affect you. You came back to win anyway. But boy, the story would be a whole lot different if that had been a terminal incident for the 11 car.
100%. And in championship contention, you can see that crinkled up bumper, that whole right side crinkled up, getting into the outside wall there. So that is a tough break, but still able to hold on to the victory and lock himself in for the championship round. Taking a look at the standings now. There you can see it. Bowen, Wortman, and Boyles, the top 3. We're going to talk to those drivers here in the post-race show. Dave Douthwaite, Kenny Capola, Drew Moffitt, Ken Eller, Chris Spear, Captain Ruff, Bobby Justice, the top 10. Michael Miller, Derek Cook, the first 2 drivers 1 lap down. Keith Hume Sr., Jamison Middlemas, Josh Battles, Guy Bonifield, Jimmy Absher, and Matt Mackin rounding out the field here at Las Vegas as the 11 car burning them down on the start-finish line.
Yeah, hell of a race for everybody. I mean, they just, ran a clean show for the most part. That pretty much the whole race ran under the green flag, except for that one first lap incident. So you got to give the guys a lot of credit for keeping a clean show, keeping it on the track, keeping out of trouble. There's a lot to be said for that. This is a track where you can get in trouble pretty quick.
And one guy that almost found himself in big trouble real quick is the victor here, Wayne Bowen. I believe you've caught up with him down there in Victory Lane.
I have, Wayne. You called your shot last week. You said you were going to bring you almost won at Nashville. You were going to bring a winning car here, and you did. What goes into getting that number 11 in the front all night long?
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you. Thanks, Jimmy Absher, man. We put a lot of work in this week getting ready. Heartbreak at Nashville last week, and we just tried to put it behind us. And I told you last week, just focused on coming here and, bringing a good car. And you just come run my race and hope it all worked out. I got the poop scared out of me there, with 1 to go coming there. I don't think Matt did that on purpose. I don't know what happened with him for sure, but we got together and almost spun me. And I seen that gap closing, and front end was not that aligned, but we made it around. We got the win. I really feel like this 11 car has been the car to beat for the last half the season. Some driver error going on here and there cost me a couple wins and just some bad luck, but we've had winning cars, and just sooner or later, it had to come around and come our way. But again, thanks with Jimmy, man. We put a ton of practice in this week. We had the car dialed in. I couldn't ask for a better driving car. I was able to get out front, and late in the run, I could break the draft on them and kind of get away. And other than that, it was just hit my marks and hang on, and I was just praying no caution or something like almost happened there at the end. So anyway, this makes up for last week right there. So just nice to have another dominant car and get it to victory lane.
Definitely a great recovery and a great rebound from last week. But boy, that second to last lap looked a little bit hairy. What's going through your mind when you're coming up on a lap car like that? Are you expecting he's going to yield outright? Or you kind of expecting him to make it tough on you?
Yeah, well, as I come up the front straightaway in the, approaching 1 and 2 there, I called out to Matt and let him know I was going to take the high side. And so I rolled the high side and down the back straightaway, and he went down and give me room. I guess he just got down in the three maybe, and he had some damage, and the car pushed up on him. I guess I'm not sure. But I couldn't believe it. I thought I saw my chase hopes go out the window right there on the next to last lap. And, kind of a little bit of flashback of Nashville in a way, dominate the whole race and then, just not be able to finish it out and capitalize on it. But even with the damage, I had enough lead. I was able to get back around to the flag and bring it home. And just big shout out again, Jimmy and all the guys, JGR. We worked hard on this setup all week long since the Nashville race, and it paid off. We had a good piece again, and I'm same thing goes for Homestead. Whether I made it in or not, I did, thank goodness. But we go into Homestead with the same mindset. 11 car is going to be the car to beat, and just we're going to be hard to handle. Just everybody better be game on.
You mentioned having that flashback to Nashville, but let's definitely have to flash forward here. What do you see coming up in Homestead? You said you're bringing a winning car next week too.
Now, we bring in winning cars every week for a long time. It's just a matter, again, driver not having a brain fart and making no mistakes and staying out of trouble on the track. But we were talking earlier. I know Tim, I think, won the last race there. Ed runs good there. Kenny runs good there. I promise you, them guys ain't going to let me just walk away. I mean, it's going to be a tight battle. I'm sure it's going to be a white-knuckle ride the whole time. But, again, we're going to bring a good piece. We're going to be competitive and just run our race and do our thing. And if the moon and stars line up, we keep the fenders on it and some good luck. Come down to 10 to go. All I can ask for is just have a shot at winning it. And while I'm here, congratulations with Ed. I think Ed got in. Is that right, Ed?
Yeah, I made it. Yep.
Okay.
I had to stay right next to Tim, and I stayed right next to him all night.
Okay, so congratulations there. And I hate Tim didn't make it, man. He's fast. He runs good. I think he just had a little bit of bad luck in the season there, cost him a little bit. But it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a good race. It's definitely going to be one to watch. It's all on the line. And I'm sure we're going to let it all hang out. And I look forward to it. I thrive on the competition, and I'm looking forward to a good battle.
Good to hear, Wayne. Now, you did mention Jimmy Absher, your teammate, being absolutely instrumental in keeping that car out front. Who else do you have to thank for tonight's run?
Man, thank my wife for letting me come up here and hang out with the guys in the race. No doubt about it. Thanks to Alt Vidane coming on and doing the races and broadcast for us. We got Butt Kicker, one of the sponsors. We got Loose Lugz. Anybody I'm forgetting, I apologize. I'm not good at these remembering all that. But just thank everybody that helps us put this series on. To Ed too, and Matt and Jimmy and Chris, all the admins, and just everybody that makes this happen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wayne. And Paul, it looks like you've caught up with Tim Wortman, our second place finisher.
That I have. Another top 5 in the column for Tim Wortman Jr. Most on the season so far with 12, but not quite enough to get into the championship. One spot in behind to try and get there for next week, but gives you an opportunity next week to try and get after that Bounty Hunter Challenge.
Yeah, I'd rather go after the championship, but that definitely. We haven't won a race this season. We gave it all we had tonight, so let's go get the bounty next week.
100%, and it looks like it's going to end up being $130 if one of these non-championship contenders can come home with the victory here at Homestead next week, and that would be something to kind of spoil the show just a little bit for the championship. You got 4 guys going for the win and going for the championship. To come home with the win of the last race of the season, probably something at the top of the charts. What do you think your shots are for next week?
Well, I thought my shot was pretty good this week, so Wayne's at a whole nother level right now, and I put the time in this weekend and this week too, like I have for no other race. So I still couldn't get to him. So we'll see. I'm going to give it my best shot.
One more shot to put that 00 car in a victory lane, and it's not that it's been a quote unquote losing season, because 12 top 5s out of 25 starts is still no small feat. Most top 5s on the season, so definitely competitive in the 00 car. Moving on to next week. Want to give you the opportunity here, though, to thank anybody that makes it happen here for the virtual 00 team.
Yeah, actually, the funny part of that is it's 3 P2s in a row, and the last 2 were the most frustrating because it was a teammate getting by me on the white flag lap. The 2, locked themselves in. So that, just little things that, we didn't know them guys ahead of us were going to wreck last week. I was just trying not to wreck Kenny, and next thing I know, there's 3 cars sideways in front of us and caution flags flying. So I want to thank Amazon for allowing us to run Oconee Hill products on their platform. Millions of small e-com businesses run there, and it's a new digital main street. Thank Tactical Arbitrage and Scan Power for being great software to help me run my business. I gotta thank my teammates, man. They're this just a fun group to be a part of. Hang out and Facebook message all week long. I gotta send a special shout out to a guy named Dustin Johnson that helped me out with a little setup this week. Just coaching me on it, and I was able to make some adjustments, and I think that's why I took myself to a whole new level during the race this week. So shout out to him, and thanks for the help.
100%. And another solid run for the 00. Another top 5. Going for the victory next week. Going to kind of spoil the show just a little bit. Walk away with a little bit of that bounty hunter money as well. Going to be $135, I think, if I'm doing math right. But a good run. Congratulations, Tim.
Thanks.
And a little bit further on down pit road, Ed Boyles Jr., the third place driver. Jeff, you've caught up with him.
I have, Ed. It looked like it was an up and down night for you tonight. You kind of slide back down the running order. You make a pit stop, come right back to the front. Got a third place finish out of the whole deal. How'd your night go from your seat?
My night was pretty good. Honestly, my plan was I knew right from the start I could tell Wayne was gonna probably win the race. He was so fast, and my deal was stay around Tim Wertman. I had 7 points on him, and all I needed to do was stay around him. So at the end there, I caught him. I passed him. I had probably the fastest pit stops on pit road tonight. I think at one point I made up 3 seconds and passed the top second, third, and fourth in the pits. So other than that, my pits were fine, but the car wasn't. It's crazy. I'm come home third, and I'd say I didn't have a great car, but it was good.
You had a great finish tonight. Obviously, Talladega kind of left you in a little bit of hole coming in here, but looks like you've punched your ticket. You're moving on to the championship race. What do you think you have for Homestead?
Well, Homestead, I'm excited. That's probably one of my best tracks. I've always run really well there. I'm looking forward to going there and coming home with this championship. It's been a really good season. I have 19 top 10s this year out of 21 races, and I'm going for it. I think I got something for Wayne, and we'll race clean with Kenny and Dave and everybody, and just try and get out after it.
Looks like you've usually got quite a few teammates out there. Who helps you get to the track at these races? Who makes it possible for you to get out here and get these top 5s, top 10s all season long?
Yeah, honestly, just doing a lot of practice. To be honest, I didn't practice at all this week. I've been so busy. I didn't practice at all. I had like 10 laps of practice on Monday, and I got crashed, and I couldn't race in a practice, and I was busy last night, so tonight I kind of came in with a hope and a prayer, and did pretty good. So just thank my teammates for always trying to help with setups and anything else we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, and good luck next week.
I just want to give a big shout out to my wife, though, real quick. She's always taking care of the kids and everything while I get up here and do this racing, and that's pretty much the main focus right there.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a great week.
So these drivers have everything lined up and have themselves a game plan for next week at Homestead. For these drivers going for the championship, and they know that it's going to come down to having to win the race. There's a lot of drivers out on track that can win this race, that can win the race, but only 4 of them that can win the championship. But everybody else in the field gets the opportunity to get after one more time. That Bounty Hunter Challenge is going to be up to $135 if anybody outside of those championship 4 can win the race, and that's going to be a tall order because there's a lot of fast guys up in there with Bowen, with Boyles, Douthwaite, and Coppola, all getting down for that championship next week at Homestead, and it's going to be live right here on Vidane TV. Lots of racing action coming up. We got Neps tomorrow night, little throwback action. Going to be racing at Hickory this Sunday. Tim's Corner Motorsports having a Talladega truck race, the only single solitary super speedway race on the season for Tim's Corner Motorsports. Those guys don't like super speedways very much, apparently, but we love them. We're going to be covering that race here on Vidane TV, and then a stacked card next week. Monday and Tuesday going to be Eastbound Esports, Tim's Corner Motorsports with a couple of races there as well. We got a Loose Lugz Championship. That's going to be big next Wednesday. 7 days from today. We're going to be crowning ourselves a champion. That's going to be a blast. And then a doubleheader of Neps on Thursday, I believe Thursday and Friday of next week too. So 5-6 days in a row here at Vidane TV. Lots of racing action and a championship next week to crown. We're going to find out who's going to walk away with the hardware next week, and you definitely do not want to miss it. But that's going to do it here for us. Showtime Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the booth with Jeff Brown covering the Loose Lugz Cup Series. We'll catch you on the flip side when we do. We're going to be doing it live.